Ron and I sat and chatted in City Hall Park at the end of the tour. It was very pleasant under the trees. We sat across from J&R Electronics, which no longer is just a store, but dominates an entire city block. While I wanted to walk, Ron led me to the subway. After a transfer and many flights of stairs, I feel that just walking down Broadway might have been easier. Finally, we arrived at the famous bull that signifies Wall Street to the world. I can't really figure out why the line at the back of the bull was twice as long as the one at the head. These guys have probably never lived on a farm, or they've got some testosterone envy going on. Ron rounded up the new tour group for the afternoon, and off we went through Bowling Green past Steamship Row. This detail is on the massive Kennard building. Just 2 buildings down, and around the corner, the doors of the corporation that ran the White Star Line are still marked as first class and cabin class. The locked gate of the cabin class entry eerily reminded me of the Titanic disaster. Bowling Green was the heart of the greatest port on earth. The steamship companies lined the west side of the green, while the massive Customs House stands at the south. The Customs House building now houses the Smithsonian's American Indian Museum. But the statuary on the outside of the building is fascinating and could be the subject of a 2-hour tour all on its own. 4 intricate statues represent the 4 major continents of trade. On this one you can see the lion and the skulls. The symbolism reveals a lot of our political views of the 1800s. South America and the others could each be the topic of a separate presentation. First World Europe holds a massive globe, while Third World colonies grasp their tiny share. More symbolism that's beyond me. A Native American peeks over the shoulders of liberty, while an eagle turns its back on us. A sleeping Africa sits between a sphinx and a lion. At the top of the Customs House are statues representing the major sea powers of the world. World War I bitterness forced the sculptor to remove the carving from the shield of Germany. By some committee action, he was sent back up to carve Belgium on the shield. No consideration was made to the fact that Belgium was never a major sea power. As we start our afternoon tour with a new group, we see kids fighting the heat beside the fort at Battery Park. People often ask why the gun ports face the city. Well, the circular fortress was originally on an island, and any invasion force was vulnerable from the back. Most of the Battery Park area is landfill, as this area is. When the paranoia following the War of 1812 died down, this fortress was abandoned, and a dome was built over it for performances. Even P.T. Barnum performed here. Perhaps it was even the site of the To the Egress legend. These stress figures represent the huddled masses yearning to be free. But since they look upwards towards Ground Zero, people often see them as reeling in horror from the 9/11 attack. These beautiful towers look over the Vietnam War Memorial and have a beautiful view of the Statue of Liberty. Deceased Vietnam veterans are honored on large granite piers surrounding this eagle at the War Memorial. Nearby, sun worshippers catch some rays on a bright 4th of July day. They're probably less crowded than people who have flocked to the city's beaches and are packed in the hot sand. With the Standard Oil building in the background, this damaged globe from Ground Zero patiently awaits repositioning at its original site. It will not be repaired, and the dents and holes in it will serve as a reminder forever of what happened there. Here you can also catch a view of Ellis Island, which replaced the fort here as the embarkation center for the U.S. Evidently, the new immigrants needed to be protected from the flock of con men lurking here at the Battery. The first American saint used this curved shorefront townhouse to give free health care to the poor of Lower Manhattan. The chapel was added later to honor Sister Elizabeth Seton as a saint. We then moved along the East River, and about 2 blocks from the water, The yellow markers show the position of the original Dutch City Hall. This was a waterfront building, but is now about 2 blocks from the waterfront. No trace remains of that building, but the foundation of a tavern from that era can be seen through 2 glass-covered wells. France's Tavern was a favorite meeting place of our patriots, and the Bill of Rights may have been written here. It looks like a brick building here, but as you go around the corner, one side is faced in stone. Ron took the time to explain in detail why one face is stone and the other face is brick. I can't remember. This whole presentation is not a replacement for Ron's tour. It's just some of the wonderful things I can remember. The power of big money was proved when builders won a dispute to eliminate a street to erect a skyscraper right in the middle of it. As their only concession, they had to allow foot traffic through the lobby during business hours. Standing at the lobby door, you can see the street cafes along the 1830s street front. We had a great lunch here and visited the site of the first publishing house in New York. Moving on, we passed 2 wedding cake buildings on the same corner. On the left, you can see the defunct Lehman Brothers stockbrokers, and on the right, the world-famous Delmonico's Steakhouse, renowned in steakdom. This early stock exchange has been condoized, but retains fantastic mementos of the past in its architectural detail. We enjoy it as we go by. We then walk by Trump's headquarters, and appearing around the left corner is the giant flag of the New York Stock Exchange. Also present are defensive structures of every type and a very, very visible police presence. Moving along, we came to the Federal Building where George Washington was sworn in as president. George's image still looks down from the steps. Both the inaugural address and the Bill of Rights are kept here in safes. Although the building has been rebuilt, the railing that Washington leaned upon as he spoke is still here. This model shows that the steps that are there today did not exist at the time, and that the speech was actually delivered from the second-floor balcony. Like the Liberty Bell, this stone's crack only makes it dearer to us. If you can't make out the reading, it's standing on this stone, the balcony of Federal Hall. George Washington took the oath as the first president of the United States of America. Having completed our formal walking tour with Ron, Patti and I set off towards the South Street Seaport and the Brooklyn Bridge, just snapping pictures as we go. After spending some time at a street fair, we strolled to South Street. Thousands of people were enjoying the beautiful weather, accompanied by music loud enough to wake the dead sailors from these ancient ships. We just browsed a while among the historic Peking Square River, a McAllister tug, and the lightship before moving on towards the Brooklyn Bridge. Patti loves murals, and approaching the bridge, we saw one that rivaled the bridge itself. To get on the bridge, we had to walk all the way back to City Hall, where a throng of very polite New Yorkers shared this classic structure. As we walked out, the Manhattan Bridge appeared to our left. We continued straight out to the towers and dutifully read the plaque. Having reached our goal, we sauntered back slowly. The Empire State Building loomed in the distance at 34th Street. On the other side, we could see the massive Verrazano Bridge and the ventilating towers for the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel. Finally, we were back at City Hall Park to cool down before returning to our hotel at Ground Zero.